Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, students. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to English Online. And today's unit would be Responsibilities of the Youth from the new book. It is the first unit. The second unit is his first flight that we have already done. Today would be the second unit as far as the content and the new text is concerned. And the chapter name is Responsibilities of the Youth. It was Quaid-e-Azam's speech at Dhaka actually, which has been named, which has been included in this text. And this speech is very important because it highlights many different things. SLOs, basically we have to understand the theme, then we have to understand the comprehension questions, and then we have to apply the same by analyzing the text and practically applying the same in attempting the paper. So these are the SLOs. The speech at Dhaka University Convocation on 24th March 1948, recorded by Radio Pakistan, Dhaka. So it was just a few months before his death in March, and that he had attended a university convocation. And the speech is very important because it reverberates his thoughts, it reverberates his, it shows his keen interest in youth, it shows his keenness in the development and progress of Pakistan, and what are the responsibilities and what vigilance is needed in order to have a better life. So this speech is very important, and I hope that you will get a lot from the words of the great man. The theme: Quaid's speech acknowledges the struggle of the youth for the creation of Pakistan. Quaid-e-Azam was well aware that Muslim League, that at that time, not today's Muslim League, at that time was given importance by the struggle of the youth, because the youthful members were active participants in politics, and even though they were studying, they were doing odd jobs, but yet they were they were the strength of Muslim League and the political struggle. The speech has a universal appeal. By universal appeal, I mean that it is still consistent, and it is still applicable. The thoughts are still applicable in modern era as well, which states the obvious fact that the role of youth for the betterment of a nation is important. However, Quaid stressed that the prime focus of the students must be studies and careers. Quaid also said that the student be vigilant enough to stay away from the conspirators and the fifth columnists. Conspirators, because just at the advent of Pakistan, there were different conspiracies thriving in Bangladesh, in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. There was the language strife, and there were different conspiracies going on regarding the selection of the national language, the lingua franca. And the fifth columnists are basically, they are also visible in today's politics as well, those who are anti-state elements, and those who are constantly trying to derail the progress of Pakistan. So Quaid was very much vigilant in this regard, and he wanted the students to stay away from such political ideals and such political norms. So this speech shows his vision as well, that he understood that such struggles and such difficulties would be faced by Pakistan. In recent years, we are seeing these different conspirators and fifth columnists in our ranks as well. So Quaid was actually advising the students to stay away from such things. He was not against participation and understanding of the politics by the students. He wanted them to be well informed regarding politics, but yet he also said that the prime responsibility of the student should be his studies and career, and after that he can and they can join any political group, any political party that are working for the betterment of the nation. So this is what the theme of the chapter is. When I was approached by the Vice Chancellor with a request to deliver the convocation address, I made it clear to him that there were so many calls on me that I could not possibly prepare a formal convocation address on an academic level with regard to the great subjects with which university deals, such as arts, history, philosophy, science and law, and so on. So he was approached by the VC of the Dhaka University to come to the university and address the convocation. You know what is a convocation? When degrees are awarded to the students. When their hard work is quantified in the form of a paper, and this degree is then utilized in their future prospects, in their jobs, and it also is a recognition of the hard work they had put in their life. So he was approached, he was asked, he was requested by the VC, and Qaid made it clear in his speech that he was not very well prepared. He had a very busy schedule. We all know what kind of man Qaid was, but he did not miss the convocation because he understood that addressing the youth is very important. The different issues that he has tackled in his speech are very much important, and he wanted the students to understand his aim, his vision, his mission with respect to Pakistan. So he didn't miss it. Yet he was there, and he did not compile a formal address. It was an extempore. It was a speech from the heart, and because he was speaking to the future of the nation. So he was not prepared. He did not mean to say that he was not prepared for the speech. What he meant to say was that he wasn't prepared to just give a formal address, just read it from a piece of paper. So this is what he said in his opening statement. I did, however, promise to say a few words to the student on this occasion, and it is in fulfillment of that promise that I will address you now. First of all, let me thank the Vice Chancellor for the flattering terms in which he referred to me. Mr. Vice Chancellor, whatever I am and whatever I have been able to do, I have done it merely as a measure of duty which is incumbent upon every Musliman to serve his people honestly and selflessly. This is what the Qaid said, that the Vice Chancellor must have praised him a lot, but Qaid was humble in his approach. He did not snub the Vice Chancellor. Rather, he very politely said that it was his duty, what he did for the nation, and he just came here to fulfill a promise. It shows that Qaid was a man of his word. He was there from West Pakistan on a flight, and it also shows his commitment. Qaid was not very healthy at that time. He was suffering from illness. He was hiding his tuberculosis, and yet he was there to address the student in order to fulfill his commitment to the Vice Chancellor. And he also stated the duty that is very important and necessary and compulsory for every Muslim to serve his people honestly and selflessly. That's what great leaders do. In addressing you, I am not here speaking to you as a head of the state, but as a friend and as one who has always held you in affection. We all know Quaid-e-Azam's respect and love for the students. Many of you have today got your diplomas and degrees, and I congratulate you. Just as you have won the laurels in university and qualified yourselves, so I wish you all success in the wider and larger world that you will enter. So in this paragraph, he's congratulating the students. He's also hoping for a better future. He's also hoping and praying that these students who have gained their rewards, laurels, rewards in the form of diplomas and degrees, they will do so also in the betterment of the nation and be a very good global citizen as well. Many of you have come to the end of your scholastic career and stand at the threshold of life. Unlike your predecessors, you fortunately leave this university to enter life under a sovereign, independent state of your own. It is necessary that you and your other fellow students fully understand the implications of the revolutionary change that took place on the birth of Pakistan. We have broken the shackles of slavery. We are now free people. Now, in this paragraph, before this paragraph, he said, I am not here to speak to you as head of the state, but as a friend. So a friend is speaking to his the students, to the first batch of Dhaka University, which ended their degrees, which ended their scholastic career, their studies, and now they are part of independent state, a sovereign independent state. This statement is very important. Imagine the implications, imagine the thought processes, imagine yourself sitting there and thinking about that you have just witnessed the first year of independence. You are the first batch that has got a degree in an independent state. Look at the honor and the respect these students will gain. Before that, they were slaves to the colonial mindset. Now they were in a free and independent state, and now they have had different opportunities. Previously, they had to compete with the other nations, the Hindus particularly. Now they had to compete among themselves, but there was a satisfaction that their rights would not be broken. Because before that, we also understand that in many administrations and organizations, Muslims were not given their due share in the form of jobs. Now they had the jobs. Even though Bangladesh had a Hindu population as well, but Muslims were then in majority, and now the jobs would be taken by Muslims as well. So they had broken the shackles of slavery now, and they now are free people. So this is very important and imperative to understand that Qaid was very hopeful for the future, and the first batch of students, the honorable students, were now entering a new stage of life in an independent sovereign state. Our state is our own state. This statement is very important. Our state is our own state. Now, it is not just state of any feudal lord, any senior, any rich guy. It is state for all. It is equally divided. It is equally shared by us, all of us. If somebody is rich, if somebody is privileged, if somebody has lots of land, it does not mean that he owns this state. No, this state belongs to all of us. Our government is our own government of the people, responsible to the people of the state and working for the good of the state. This is his concept of the welfare state. This statement, this sentence symbolizes the welfare state that he has in mind, the democratic norms that he has in mind. Freedom, however, does not mean license. Now, this is very important. Freedom does not mean that you have the license to do whatever you want. With freedom comes responsibility. It does not mean that you can now behave just as you please and do what you like, irrespective of the interest of other people or of the state. Freedom does not mean کہ whatever you do, جیسے کہ آپ لوگ ہیں بھی اکثر بچے ایسی حرکتیں کرتے ہیں کہ بس جو مرضی کریں ہمیں کوئی پوچھے نہ. No, this is not the case in Qaid's statement. He says you are free, but freedom does not mean that you should become irresponsible. You should not respect your elders, you should not respect your teachers, you should not respect your parents, you should not respect the community, whatever the case is. With freedom comes responsibility. It is not a license to do whatever you want to do. آزادی کا یہ مطلب نہیں تھا. آزادی meant welfare and responsibility. A great responsibility rests on you, and on the contrary, now more than ever, it is necessary for us to work as a united and disciplined nation. Now it's more imperative. Now, because of the more responsibility, you should show keen interest in your careers. You should show keen interest in the betterment and enhancement and development of the nation. It is necessary for you to be united, and be disciplined as well. If you are not united and if you are not disciplined, it does not mean, it will mean the destruction of the nation. So freedom is not a license. Freedom is actually a responsibility. What are now required of us all is constructive spirit and not the militant spirit of the days when we were fighting for our freedom. Now you have to shift. Basically, these students were militant. By militant spirit, he means that students were rebellious. They were attacking, or they were struggling against colonial grip. Now this militant spirit has to be transformed to a constructive spirit. अब ये नहीं कि रोड पे निकल जाए और किस चीज़ को भी आग लगा दे, टायरों को आग लगा दे, दुकानों को आग लगा दे, नहीं. यू शुड बी कंस्ट्रक्टिव इन अ सेंस कि आपकी सोच ऐसी हो कि ठीक है, इफ़ आई हैव सम इश्यूज with somebody, I can solve it through dialogue, I can solve it to somebody, because it's now an independent state. It does not mean that you have to fight. It does not mean that you should go on the road and destroy some poor man's car or some poor man's motorcycle that we still see today. My psyche is still of that militant spirit that was in the past. So this guy did not want us to be militants in that sense, and he wanted us to be constructive. It is far more difficult to construct than to have a militant spirit for the attainment of freedom. Yes, being constructive is difficult because you have to think a lot for it. It's very easy, like in our society, it's very easy to point fingers at somebody else. But it is very difficult to self-analyze oneself. So you have to self-analyze. You have to look at your own self. What are you doing? What are you achieving? What are you aiming for? If you have a destructive spirit, you can't achieve anything except destruction. But if you have a constructive spirit, maybe early or late you will gain something. It is easier to go to jail or fight for freedom than to run a government. Yes, before that students were put in jails. It was a hard time. But when you are running a government, when you are running, think of a small house. Your father there or your mothers there are responsible there. They are running the house. They have to manage the finances. They have to manage your school fees, your lunch, your dinner, your breakfast. लेकिन जब आप पे ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आएगी तो आप क्या करेंगे? आप लोग तो आज़ाद घूम रहे होते हैं ना बाहर, ठीक है ना, अम्मी कर लेंगे, अब्बू कर लेंगे, स्कूल आना है, स्कूल से वापस जाना है, ट्यूशन भी रखवाई भी है, सारा कुछ ओके है, आज़ादी है जी. वो जैसे कहते हैं ना चिल, यू आर चिल्ड. वो चिलिंग नहीं है. फ्रीडम मीन्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. जब आप एक प्रोफेशनल करियर में दाखिल होंगे, जब आप खुद इस काबिल होंगे कि आप फैमिली बना सकें, फिर यही बोझ, यही रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, बोझ नहीं रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, यही जिम्मेदारी जब आप पे कंधों पे आएगी तो इसको बड़े भरपूर तरीके से आपने निभाना है. अच्छा, बाहर आप लड़ते भी हैं, शायद आप लॉ के उसमें भी आ जाएं, शायद आप उसमें भी आ गए, लेकिन नहीं, अब वो चीज़ नहीं होगी. अब आपने गवर्नमेंट को रन करना है, अब आपने स्टेट के साथ चलना है. लेट मी टेल यू समथिंग of the difficulties that we have overcome and of the dangers that still lie ahead. अब कायद जो है बिल्कुल उनकी टोन चेंज हो चुकी है. He's in a seriously discussing the issues of the state with the students. Like he wants, and as he stated earlier in his address that he was not talking to them as head of a state but as a friend. So the friend is discussing something with his friends. And what are the dangers this still lie ahead? कि कायद के विजन में मतलब जो कुछ हो गया, जो ख़तरे हैं पाकिस्तान को जैसी वो बना है, वो भी और जो ख़तरे आने वाले हैं उनकी तरफ भी कायद इशारा कर रहे हैं. Thwarted in their desire to prevent the establishment of Pakistan, our enemies turned their attention to finding ways and means to weaken and destroy us. Thwarted यानी जब उन्हें शिकस्त हो गई इस ख्वाहिश में कि वो पाकिस्तान बनने से रोक देंगे, हमारे दुश्मनों ने अब अपनी जो फोकस है, अटेंशन है, वो दूसरी तरफ कर दी है कि किसी तरीके से हमें अंदरूनी तौर पर कमज़ोर और तबाह किया जाए. Thus hardly had the new state come into being when came the Punjab and Delhi Holocaust. Thousands of men, women and children were mercilessly butchered and millions were uprooted from their homes. Over 50 lakhs of these arrived in the Punjab within a matter of weeks. Now, by Punjab and Delhi Holocaust, Qaidi's reference is to the dangas. Do you know what are the dangas? When partition happened, جب partition ہوئی تو یہاں سے جو مسلمان آ رہے تھے ان پہ سکھوں نے حملہ کیا. یہاں سے جو سکھ جا رہے تھے ظاہر ہے پھر بدلے کی کارروائی کی گئی. تو پنجاب میں بہت سارے ہندو اور سکھوں کو مارا گیا, اسی طرح مسلمانوں کو بھی مارا گیا, پوری کی پوری ٹرینوں کو قتل کیا گیا, ٹھیک ہے, اور بڑا عجیب سا ایک ماحول کریٹ کیا گیا. ریسنٹ ہسٹری میں یہ چیز بھی ڈسکور کی گئی ہے کہ جیسے ابھی مطلب لوگ جذباتی ہو جاتے ہیں کسی بھی ایشو کے اوپر اور خواہ مخواہ روڈ پہ آ جاتے ہیں, اسی طرح کی یہ سینیریو تھا اس وقت جو دنگائی تھے جنہوں نے یہ جان بوجھ کی یہ سازش رچی اور لوگوں کو قتل کیا گیا. پنجاب میں بہت سارے لوگ مارے گئے, دلی میں بہت سارے لوگ مارے گئے, مسلمان مارے گئے. قائد نے اس کو ہالو کاسٹ کہا ہے. ہالو کاسٹ حالانکہ یہ جو ٹرم ہے یہ جوس کے لیے یوز کی جاتی ہے. جب ہٹلر کی نازی جرمنی نے بہت سارے جوس کا قتل عام کیا تھا تو یہاں پہ مسلمانوں اور ہندوؤں کا قتل عام ہوا آپس کی لڑائی میں, اور یہ کچھ شر پسندوں نے ایک شر کیا جس کی وجہ سے بہت ساری فیملیز جس میں بچے بوڑھے جوان, اور یہ آپ نے امیجز کافی دیکھی ہوں گی جب پاکستان انڈیپینڈنس ڈے پہ خصوصاً بلیک اینڈ وائٹ پکچرز آپ دیکھتے ہیں کتنے لوگوں کو قتل کیا گیا, کتنے لوگوں کو مارا گیا, ٹھیک ہے. اینڈ ملینز ور اپروٹڈ فرام دیئر ہومز, بہت ساروں کو ان کے گھروں سے بے دخل کیا گیا کیونکہ جس وقت پاکستان بنا تو چوائس تھی لوگوں کے پاس کہ آیا وہ انڈیا جانا چاہتے ہیں, آیا وہ پاکستان جانا چاہتے ہیں. بہت سارے لوگ نہیں جانا چاہتے تھے یا لیکن حالات کی وجہ سے یا لوگوں کی وہ نفرت کی وجہ سے یا ڈر کی وجہ سے انہیں یہ جگہیں چھوڑنی پڑی. تو تقریباً 50 لاکھ مہاجر اس وقت یعنی وہ جو ہیں وہ پنجاب آئے. اور آپ کو پتہ ہے کہ جب ایک نئی اسٹیٹ بنتی ہے یہ ایسے ہے کہ آپ نئے نئے ایک جگہ پہ جائیں, آپ وہاں پہ گھر لیں یا سیٹل ہوں اور ایک دم آپ کے بہت سارے مہمان آ جائیں تو بہت مشکل ہوتا ہے مینیج کرنا. تو اسی طرح جب یہ اسٹیٹ بنی تو بہت سارے لوگ جب اتنے آ گئے تو یہ لوڈ جو ہے وہ اسٹیٹ پہ آیا. دو یہ تھا کہ آپ کو اگر پتہ ہو سسٹم کچھ یوں تھا کہ جو ہندوؤں نے پراپرٹیز چھوڑی ہیں اور جو وہاں پہ مسلمانوں نے چھوڑی تو جو یہاں سے لوگ گئے تو وہاں پہ انہیں پراپرٹیز مل گئی, اور جو یہاں لوگ گئے تو ان کو وہ والی پراپرٹیز جو وہ وہاں چھوڑ کے آئے تھے یہاں پہ پھر ایز اے ریپلیسمنٹ دی گئی. تو یہ جو ہے ہولوکاسٹ یہ تھا اور یہ بڑا سیویئر مسئلہ تھا, یہ اتنا آسان نہیں تھا اتنے سارے لوگوں کو اس وقت مینیج کرنا. آپ سٹل یہاں دیکھ لیجئے کہ افغان وار کے بعد ہم افغان مہاجرین کو مینیج کر رہے ہیں اور ہم سٹل ہماری اکانومی پہ ایک بہت بڑا برڈن ہے. ایون دو ہماری اکانومی اس وقت سے تو کم از کم بہت بہتر ہے جب پاکستان کا آغاز ہوا تھا, لیکن یہ ہے کہ بالکل ہی ایک نئی اسٹیٹ کا, لیکن یہ ہے کہ ابھی بھی ہم اتنی ڈیفیکلٹیز فیس کر رہے ہیں تو اس وقت کیا سچویشن ہوگی. The care and rehabilitation of these unfortunate refugees stricken in body and soul presented problems which might well have destroyed many a well-established state. But those of our enemies who had hoped to kill Pakistan at its very inception by these means were disappointed. Not only has Pakistan survived the shock of that upheaval, but also it has emerged stronger, more chastened, and better equipped than ever. Now here the Qaid, because of his visionary leadership, he is now giving the students hope کہ دیکھو جیسی ہی انسیپشن پہ ایسے لوگوں کو ریہیبلیٹیٹ کرنا جو کہ باڈی یعنی فزیکلی بھی ہارم تھے اور ان کی روحوں پہ بھی اثر تھا, کیونکہ ظاہر سی بات ہے ماؤں کے سامنے بچے کٹے, بچوں کے سامنے مائیں کٹیں, پوری کی پوری فیملیز ختم ہوئیں, بیٹیوں کے سامنے باپ کٹے, تو یہ ساری چیزیں جو تھی ان کے اوپر ایک نقش چھوڑ گئی تھی. تو یہ پرابلمس تھی اور ایک ویل اسٹیبلش اسٹیٹ کے لیے یہ پرابلمٹک ہو جاتی ہیں. جیسے میں نے پہلے اگزامپل دی, تو اگر پاکستان کی دشمن یہ امید کر رہے تھے کہ پاکستان اس طرح کے ہتھ کنڈوں سے بس ختم ہو جائے گا تو یہ ان کے لیے بہت ہی مایوسی کا باعث تھا. بلکہ کافی جگہوں پہ کہا گیا ہے کہ کچھ لیڈرز دشمن لیڈر انڈین لیڈرز یہ بھی کہتے تھے کہ دیکھتے ہیں پاکستان کتنے سال چلتا ہے. ایز فار دیئر پریڈکشنز پاکستان پہلے سال میں ہی ختم ہو جانا تھا, لیکن ایسا ہوا نہیں. لیکن پاکستان نے وہ شوق جو ہے اس کو جو پین تھا وہ جو ایک دم فائنینشیل پرابلمز تھی ان ٹربلز کو اپہیول ٹربل کو اس کو برداشت کیا, لیکن اس سے الٹا اور یہ مضبوط ہوا, مور ڈسپلنڈ ہوا, چیسٹنڈ ڈسپلنڈ اینڈ بیٹر ایکوپڈ دین ایور. اور بہت زیادہ مطلب اب چونکہ اس وقت ایک نئی چیز تھی لیکن اب بیٹر اکوپڈ ہے. اگر اب ایسی کوئی صورتحال ہوئی تو اس کے لیے وہ مکمل طور پر تیار ہے. There followed in rapid succession other difficulties such as withholding by India of our cash balance, of our share of military equipment, and lately the institution of an almost complete economic blockade of your province. I have no doubt that all right-thinking men in the Indian Dominion deplore these happenings, and I am sure the attitude of the mind that has been responsible for them will change. But it is essential that you should take note of these developments. Now, قائد اب سیاسی جو اس وقت مشکلات ہیں ان کی بات کر رہے ہیں. جس وقت پاکستان کی تقسیم ہوئی تو پاکستان کی تقسیم میں آپ کو لازمی بات ہے اسٹڈیز میں بھی پڑھا ہوگا کہ بہت ساری چیزیں انڈیا اور پاکستان میں ڈیوائیڈ ہونی تھی, جس میں کیش بیلنس تھا, ملٹری تھی, اس میں ملٹری اکوپمنٹ تھا اور بہت ساری چیزیں تھیں, لیکن وہ ساری چیزیں مکمل نہیں ادا کی گئی. بہت سارے پیسے جو ہمیں ملنے تھے وہ نہیں ملے, بہت سارا اکوپمنٹ جو تھا وہ ہمیں نہیں ملا. اور بنگلہ دیش جو ہے جو ایسٹ پاکستان تھا اس ٹائم, یہ چاروں طرف سے, چار نہیں تین اطراف سے انڈیا کے گھیرے میں تھا اور ایک سائڈ پہ سمندر تھا. لیکن مکمل طور پر کیونکہ یہ تقسیم ایسی ہوئی تھی کہ بنگلہ دیش یعنی ایسٹ پاکستان ہم سے بہت دور تھا, بیچ میں اتنا لمبا چوڑا انڈیا بھی تھا, تو اس کا مکمل اکنامک بلاکیٹ کر دیا گیا تھا. یعنی اس کے ساتھ ٹریڈ کرنا, اس کے ساتھ وہ کرنا وہ بہت ہی مشکل ہو رہا تھا. تو یہ جو چیزیں تھیں انڈین ڈومینین میں, قائد کہتے ہیں کہ ایسے لوگ شاید ہیں جو کہ سمجھتے ہیں کہ یہ جو ہو رہا ہے یہ ٹھیک نہیں ہے, لیکن ابھی جو یہ ایٹیچیوڈ وہ لوگ شو کر رہے ہیں یہ چیز جو ہے یہ انشاءاللہ تبدیل ہوگی, لیکن آپ کو ان چیزوں کا ادراک ہونا چاہیے. یعنی قائد اسٹوڈنٹس کو جو پولیٹیکل ڈیفیکلٹیز ہیں جو بیک گراؤنڈ میں گزری ان کا بھی بتایا, اور جو اسٹل پرسسٹنٹ ہیں ان کا بھی بتا رہا ہے جس کی وجہ سے پرابلم ہو رہی ہے. They stress the importance of continued vigilance on our part. Of late, the attack on your province particularly has taken a subtler form. Our enemies, among whom I regret to say there are some Muslims, have set about actively encouraging provincialism in the hope of weakening Pakistan and thereby facilitating the reabsorption of this province into the Indian Dominion. اب چونکہ ایسٹ پاکستان سے بہت دور تھا, ایک چھوٹا صوبہ تھا, چھوٹا سا علاقہ تھا, اب اسی وقت سے سازشیں شروع ہو گئی تھی. اور جو ہمارے جو ففتھ کالمسٹ تھے, یعنی وہ لوگ جو کہ اینٹی اسٹیٹ ایکٹیویٹیز میں انوالو تھے, انہوں نے اب جو اٹیک کیا تھا اس کی فارم سٹل تھی. سٹل مینز کہ وہ فارم جو ہے وہ سامنے اٹیک نہیں تھا, پیٹ پیچھے وار تھا. کیسے کہ وہ جناب من اس میں مسلمان بھی حالانکہ اس میں شامل تھے, انہوں نے پروونشلزم کو, صوبائیت نہیں ہوتی, یہ کرنٹلی ہمارے اس وقت بھی یہ پرابلمس چل رہی ہیں صوبوں کی, وہ بات جو ہوتی ہے, اور مختلف آپ پولیٹیکل ڈیبیٹس جب سنتے ہیں تو اس میں صوبائیت اور نسل پرستی اور لینگویج پرستی ایسی چیزوں کی طرف دماغوں کو مائل کیا جاتا ہے, لوگوں کو ورغلایا جاتا ہے, نیشنلسٹک قسم کی پالیٹکس کی جاتی ہے. یہ اس وقت بھی جاری تھی اور ایسٹ پاکستان میں بہت زیادہ اس چیز کو فروغ دیا جا رہا تھا اس وقت, اس امید کے ساتھ کہ پاکستان کو کمزور کر دیا جائے گا, اور اس طرح ایسٹ پاکستان جو ہے وہ جب کمزور ہو جائے گا تو اس کو واپس جو ہے انڈین ڈومینین میں, یعنی جو اس وقت کا ہندوستان تھا اس کے نقشے میں دوبارہ ڈال دیا جائے گا. 1971 کی وار ہوئی, لیکن جو انڈیا کا مقصد تھا وہ یہ تھا کہ یہ جو ایسٹ پاکستان ہے یہ انڈیا میں شامل ہو جائے. ایسا ان کا فوکس تھا, وہ چاہ یہ رہے تھے, اور شاید ہو بھی جاتا, لیکن ود ان ایسٹ پاکستان کچھ ایلیمنٹس ایسے تھے جو کہ انڈیا کے ساتھ نہیں ملنا چاہتے تھے. انہیں ہم پرو پاکستانی کہہ سکتے ہیں کیونکہ بنگلہ دیش میں بھی دو اسکول آف تھاٹس چل رہے تھے اس وقت بھی جب 1971 کی وار ہو رہی تھی. تو لیکن انہوں نے یہ کیا کہ انہوں نے نہ پاکستان کے ساتھ شامل ہوئے واپس, نہ انڈیا کے ساتھ پھر انہوں نے شامل کیا, لیکن اس وقت سے یہ کوشش جاری تھی کہ ایسٹ پاکستان جو ہے وہ انڈین ڈومینین میں شامل ہو جائے. تو دس اسپیچ از ویری امپورٹنٹ ایز فار ایز the content is concerned. So this is it for today because it's a long speech, it's a long chapter. We will continue the reading in the next chapter as well. And if you have any questions, you can ask me later on. Thank you very much and Allah Hafiz.